Welcome to the Wasteland. Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is not a video I thought we were going to be making, but here we are once again on a little bit of what we call News from the Wasteland. This is was our bi-weekly podcast where we gather around the campfire and discuss our thoughts on the proverbial hellscape that is pop culture. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been a while since we've done a bi-weekly episode, or really, frankly, anything on the channel, because unfortunately, things on the Wasteland haven't been exactly good for any of us, but that's not here nor there. Instead, we're here to get serious. Once again, let's not even bother with the theatrics. We're going to talk about the WGA strike once again, because now a new challenger has entered the ring. But before I can continue that, would you guys care to introduce yourselves to the world?
Hey guys, what's up? This is Diego here at Cinemageddon Reviews. I have also been gone from the Wasteland, going on my own adventures, but well, like Sebastian said, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's fight some CEOs.
Oh, yes we will, yes we will. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Oh.
My goodness, you guys do not know when to go in. Gabe, how about you go first?
All right, fine. Hello, my name is Gay, aka Soul Despair, and I've been around the Wasteland, kind of on and off. Not really. However, I've been in another Wasteland these past couple of days, the Wasteland of Fortnite.
Yeah.
I managed to escape, but it's begging to me. But in the meantime, I'm here to talk about strikes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Just remember, you could have used some of that time on Fortnite to make content, but instead we're talking about strikes. Anyway.
Not here or there. Power to the people.
Exactly. We also have another one of our recurring friends here. Emmanuel, I believe you are here with us as well?
Yes, I am here in the Wasteland, affected by the deadly influenza. For some reason, it's still happening in the Wasteland in the 25th century.
I mean, let's be honest. At this time and age, I'm pretty sure every disease known to man would probably be ended up turning itself worse. I'm just surprised COVID isn't as much of a thing anymore.
Yeah, you would be surprised what I am enjoying, even when there's sickness. I've been enjoying myself with the days. If you don't know what the days were, it was about the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Yeah, something to run my day.
Well then. Hey, I mean, shit. If I had to find my own ways of entertaining myself, it sure as hell wouldn't be that. But hey, I'd rather entertain myself with something much more cathartic, but not at all happy or enjoyable. Ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood fucking sucks, doesn't it? So
Currently, yes.
The golden dream is dead, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, it's been dead for years. The only thing to make it worse is that now Netflix just doesn't know when to chill, ironically. So, no more Netflix and chill. No more going to the movie theaters anymore. Sorry, Nicole Kidman. That dream is dead, and now we have to sit here and pick up the pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's talk about the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike. Where the hell? How did we get here, first of all? Well, it all started back in May 2nd of this year, where it all started up with the Writers Guild of America, aka the WGA, basically going on strike because of how shitty every single thing is with the state of Hollywood. How they were hoping for better pay, better, not just that, but also benefits. Basically trying to be treated like human beings. That's how it started. It started off with that, and then it progressively turned into more and more of a Black Mirror-esque fantasy story, where we find out that these CEOs and these companies are really just as stupid and ridiculous as we make them out to be in media. With the big thing that we were talking about the last time being how they want to replace everything with AI, which, even though we say that as a joke, apparently the studios were not exactly finding it funny. They actually thought it was a bit of a lucrative concept. And now we are learning a lot of disturbing things about the usage of AI, and we've seen a lot of it being used recently, more so in the side of Disney Plus and Warner Brothers. And so much of this has resulted in not only writers going on strike, but studios everywhere essentially doing what I can only classify as a big, massive domino effect, where they let one bit of incompetence screw over all of them, because now I can't decide if my incompetence is bad enough, so I'm gonna do more incompetent stuff and let everybody know just how much we love to mistreat our actors alongside them. So now the actors, the acting guild, the SAG-AFTRA, every single actor right now, at least the ones that are currently on working for SAG, as far as I'm aware, they're going on strike and joining the picket line, and it has basically halted all of Hollywood in terms of production, in terms of things that are currently on schedule, behind schedule, or would have been on schedule. Things are being delayed, things are being canceled, TV shows, movies, everything is now being placed to a halt, with the only exception being dragons and British people fucking each other for 12 hours a day, aka House of the Dragon, because fucking non-union shit in the UK, I guess. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to today. It may not be the nicest way of bringing this whole thing up, but let's be honest, how the fuck do you... With how much shit is currently happening, did you think that I have a script worked up for any of this? We're currently ad-libbing all of this as we speak. I have Wikipedia turned on, for the love of Christ. I have no clue how to do this in a way that feels organic, or to demonstrate just how messed up the situation is. We're all still currently trying to figure this whole thing out, and the more we find out about it, the more misinformation we and a lot of other people are getting, not just by the studios, but by dumbass influencers who have no clue what the fuck they're doing. But let's go ahead and start talking about this from the beginning. Diego, you can go ahead, and why don't you tell us, how are things currently doing right now in the world of Hollywood?
So where were we? Oh yes, the pit of despair, to quote The Princess Bride. So
Hello.
quite, yes, the pit of soul. Sorry. Anyway, a number of things have happened. CEOs and their caucasity have put out a number of controversial quotes and have been met with quite a bit of very warranted scrutiny and criticism. Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, the one that we actually prefer over the last guy, said that there's and I quote, there's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic, and they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is quite frankly very disruptive and dangerous. And I want to talk about this first quote, and specifically why the caucasity, once again. It's very easy for CEOs to determine what's ridiculous and what's not, considering that they give themselves raises in the hundreds of thousands every single year. There's like a number of bullet points on why this is just the very definition of wealthy 1% privilege. Bob Iger is the CEO of the largest media empire and entertainment empire in the world, with theme parks and movies that go all over the world and influence a ton of people. And this is just something that really just gets under my skin, because it really just shows how out of touch these CEOs are. Another anonymous CEO was quoted as essentially saying that the studios were determined to wait out the strike until the writers and actors were homeless, and they absolutely had no choice except to take a terrible deal, because it just meant that they were having money in their pockets, however little that was. If it was in cents, then they were going to take it. And should I go on because this is where I really start to go down the rabbit hole with this. What do you guys think?
Well,
The floor is yours, my dude. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I just wanted to say, you really gotta be the big level of asshole when you have Fran fucking Drescher, of all people, the SAG-AFTRA president, may I remind you, saying that not only is what you're saying repugnant, but you gotta hear it coming out of her voice. She's calling you repugnant and tone deaf. motherfucker, when the nanny is telling you that you're fucking repugnant, is the time when you really need to start realizing that, oh god, I really am the villain in this story.
Yeah,
Or
I think my $1 million life choices.
Jesus.
or Ron Perlman, who knows the certain individual who said that quote, and he just called him careful. Because next thing you know, he'll probably be on a bike with a motorcycle again, trying to threaten that CEO's house, and he
Hellboy has
means it.
Mhm. Anyway, you were saying, Diego?
Okay, here I go down the rabbit hole. There's going to be a long rant ahead. First of all, I want to double down on what Fran Drescher and basically all of us are saying. This strike was inevitable, and it is going to continue for as long as possible. Actors and writers have made it very clear that they didn't come to the decision to strike lightly, and nobody ever does. In fact, Fran Drescher is quoted as saying that this decision weighed very heavily on her, but she ultimately felt that this was the right thing to do. This isn't because the actors and writers are being lazy or greedy. The reason this strike is happening is because actors already cannot afford basic necessities. This notion that the strike will continue until actors and writers are too desperate to carry on, you can forget about all that because we are already fucking here. This is already happening. This is why the strike is happening. Most actors and writers barely make $30,000 a year unless you're some A-lister like Tom Cruise or some writer that has written Oscar-winning movies like Aaron Sorkin back to back. Just because these people appear in huge movies and shows and they dress nice at red carpet events doesn't mean that they're as rich as they look. And I wish people would realize that.
Like,
Second, you were saying before I go on?
no, I was just gonna say, to add to that, how bold of these people are to assume that these people can't even afford homes. Like, with how little they're paying them, the most, if you can even call it that these people can afford is maybe an apartment somewhere down the line in Los Angeles, which already is not a fucking cheap place to live in. Number one. So yeah, good luck on trying to get people to move out of their fucking houses. They'll just go bunk with whatever other actor they know of who will let them crash on their couches. They're not going away, dude. They're just gonna find another place to stay in or crash in. That's just how it works.
Exactly.
Or even healthcare. Like some of them couldn't even apply for healthcare
Because they just don't make enough money.
No, how little they're paying them. So the fact that they applying for healthcare in this day and age, there's a reason why people who are seriously injured or hurt would rather drive to the hospital than call an ambulance. Because guess what? $900 fucking dollars for an ambulance ride.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay, so the second thing I want to clear up is that Bob Iger claims that the studios are short on money because there's just not enough money in the budgets to support actors the way they want. And this is simply not true. The reason for this is because CEOs keep cutting corners in every area they can to give themselves raises for doing basically nothing. CEOs make obscene amounts of money and buy expensive yachts and private planes, while movies continue to suffer from production problems and creative problems, all because the studios won't give them the money they need to resolve them. They just keep cutting corners, they keep just being very stingy, and you can see that in the writers and actors that are on strike today. A lot of these guys, as I said, they drive beat-up cars, they have to hold down second and third jobs to just make rent every month. It's rough out there. And the third thing is that studio executives are severely out of touch if they think that this strike will be anything like the last one. Actors and writers have been spreading awareness on social media, which is more popular now than it was in 2008, which is when the last strike happened. Furthermore, you have actors and writers on strike, not just writers. So this strike has now gone mainstream with a ton of well-known actors joining the picket lines. Everyone pays attention to social media nowadays. It's very easy for people who have been on Netflix shows to gain a social media presence that is sustainable enough to raise more awareness. Community entertainment funds are all kinds of fundraisers have been raising all thousands of dollars to keep actors and writers fed and to help them pay their rent. If I'm not mistaken, Drew Carey, the actor and TV personality, has been buying people food. Like he's been buying, Pete Davidson was seen in New York buying people pizza for the picket lines. Various actors and writers have also been carpooling and giving each other money, helping each other out with their necessities and stuff. Actors and writers that have more influence and have more money have been spreading awareness. Even us, what we're doing right now, and we're spreading awareness on social media and YouTube and all these anywhere this podcast is being heard about what exactly is happening. So there you go. This strike is not going to go down like last time. These CEOs are out of touch, and yeah, it's some bullshit, man. It's some bullshit.
Absolute bullshit. And it, really bold of these people, man, for them to say that there's not enough money, that we can't afford any of this. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never worked in the plumbing business before, but I know bullshit when I smell it. And that right there, that is some Super Mario Brothers level shit that I'm being fed on right there. Especially when you get around the fact that a lot of this shit that you're telling us, that we can't afford to pay your writers or your actors. Oh, I just want to point this out really quick. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. So, according to this, Netflix says that they are upping their free cash flow estimate to $5 billion plus for the full year, whilst again refusing to pay their actors and their writers properly. May I remind you that they also just said that they had an increase of around 5.89 million subscribers by Q2 of 2023. So they have the subscribers and they have the money. I don't know why they can't afford to pay their writers, but that's a mystery. So we'll figure that out soon. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so we also have. I love this. I don't know who it was, but somebody put out an inflatable rat outside of Amazon Studios, and that rat is carrying 2 big fat stacks of cash.
Nice.
I don't even have anything to say about it. I just think that's fucking beautiful. Yeah. Oh, good lord. So, okay, let's see here. Oh, right. So, one other thing I wanted to point out is they are currently all the studios as of right now, they are losing a total of $600,000 per week for every single haunted production because of all of this. So it's not because they don't have money. They have plenty of money. They just don't want to use that money where it's needed. And before anybody comes in there and tells me that they don't have any money, that we're just a bunch of libtards being fed by the woke media, let me tell you right now, Netflix, Greg Peters, CEO, $51 million per year, $4,250,000 per month, $981,524 per week, $24,538 per hour. That's the CEO of Netflix. Now,
Yikes.
Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, my man, my mate, my best friend, who I love absolutely and have never said a single bad thing about ever. $39.290 million. $39,290,000 a year. This is what this man makes. And his job is just to remove shit and write it off for taxes. Let's see here. Comcast, Brian L. Roberts, $32 million per year. Paramount, Brian Robbins, $32 million per year as well. Bob Iger, we were just talking about you. Disney, $24 million. By the way, Bobby, how's that yacht of yours? The one that I'm seeing all over Twitter. Seems pretty expensive. I'd hate for you to lose that, but nah, I'm sure you can afford it along with the insurance. Such a shame that none of the actors can afford yachts. I'm sure they would love to, but they're too busy wondering if they have enough money for groceries in a month. And let's see here, we got Fox, which Lachlan Murdoch makes over $22 million. Hell, when fucking Fox is still making money, you know there's a problem. But these are just a few of the CEOs that are currently making money, and they're being paid to do fucking nothing. Being a CEO for a corporation like this is basically like being paid to just sit down and do nothing. It's like you're literally being paid to do very little and just say yes or no to things. These guys, yes, guys, because not a single one of them are women, by the way. They're all guys, they're all white, and they're all making more money than we're ever going to make together. They're making more money than anybody else in this industry. but they can't afford to pay writers and actors reasonable wages. So I gotta ask, where the hell is the problem? If the problem is the fact that they don't have money, do you think maybe all of these CEOs should take a pay cut? Do you think that
Absolutely.
maybe, I mean, yes, of course, but do you think maybe we should look at whatever reserves you have in the bank? I'm sure you guys have a lot because, you have all the money that you had for all the marketing that you had for these movies, especially for Oppenheimer, which the actors all had to leave immediately after the strike was announced for all the actors to promote the film. They couldn't do so because of this. So you guys clearly have the money. Where the hell is all the money that you could be using to pay the writers and actors who make your shit good? Where is it? If there's enough money to pay these useless CEOs, then there should be enough money to pay all of these people properly. So where the hell is it? And if it's not there, if there really is not enough money, then what the hell is the problem? Because everybody loves to tell me they don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. Okay, then, motherfucker, what the hell can you do about it? Give me a solution. Let's talk about it. Brainstorm. That's the thing about these CEOs. They're not giving us any reasons to believe them here. They're not giving us any charts. They're not giving us any statistics. Statistics. They're not giving us nothing. They're just telling us what we want them to. They're telling us what they want us to believe in. That they don't have money. Okay, then, if you really don't have money, which I really don't believe, what can you do about it? Because we're already giving you our money by watching your shitty movies in theaters. So why the fuck is that not enough?
Well, putting our taste in movies aside, which is subjective, by the way, if they didn't have money now, they sure will have money to spare. Considering that, for one, Netflix's He-Man project recently got canceled. They spent $30 million on it, only for it to get canceled. So, if they had budget allocated to that project, well, I'm pretty sure there's some spare change lying around that they could use to pay their actors, their writers, maybe. Not the pennies. That one actress in Orange is the New Black, one of the top Netflix shows in its days, is earning. You know what it is that you get pennies? Pennies as residuals.
Not even
Yeah.
that. She's getting paid 0 pennies for some of those residuals. For those of you who don't know, he's referring to Kimiko Glenn, who you may know as Penny Parker from the Into the Spider-Verse movies, and also a lot of other cartoons and TV shows that you definitely have heard of. She recently released a TikTok showcasing an invoice for her residuals for this year, and a lot of those residuals for the show Orange is the New Black, for which she was a big part of the show in. She was in around, I want to say, 40-something episodes. I haven't seen the show myself, so I cannot comment on how many episodes she's been in. But the invoice had a lot of episodes, a lot of listings, and then when you go down to see how much she's being paid and how much they're giving her for each episode, the total, I swear to God, we're not making this up, was
I'll
about...
say this. Can I say it?
Wait,
Can I say how much she got?
Go ahead, Emmanuel. I thought I told you not to interrupt people, but go ahead.
She gets a total of $27.20 after appearing in like a bunch of it. Not just one season, but multiple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she gets?
But hey,
It's a crime.
She's just a small part of the show, I'm sure. I mean, after all, you don't give lots of money to people who are only in one episode or just a couple of episodes. But no, they'll pay. How much did they pay Marlon Brando to be in the fucking Superman movie for about 6 minutes of screen time?
10 million? 13 million, I guess.
I'm not even gonna look up how much, but they paid him way too fucking much for Marlon Brando. Like, Marlon Brando, one of the worst, best actors in the world. A man who can never remember his lines, who had to read off his lines off of the baby's diaper while he was doing Superman the movie. This man got paid an excruciatingly large amount of money for being in the film only 6 minutes in, and barely any of those minutes he was actually alive in them. So I wanted to know where the fuck, how is that fair? I don't care if this man was in The Godfather. If I found out that a man like this made more money than me for only being in the film for 6 minutes, I would be pretty fucking pissed.
I mean, hell, that's kind of like been the thing for Hollywood. Hell, even Jack Nicholson was paid more money than Michael Keaton in Batman.
And that right there is just that. We're basically comparing which high-paid actor is making more than what other high-paid actor. But with the Superman movie, it was basically Marlon Brando versus Christopher Reeve, who at the time was barely a household name. He became one because of Superman the movie. He barely got anything as a result from this, if I recall correctly. It took until the movie was released for him to actually become something. And the fact that Marlon Brando, who once again is an actor who can barely remember his lines, ended up making more money than anybody in the cast for such little screen time, to me feels very disrespectful. Especially when you consider that this is a big production and you have a lot of people working on it. But that's movies. On television, it's so much worse. When you work on television, if you're a actor and you're only doing, say, a small bit or a small role, the fact that you even get any form of residual whatsoever is a crapshoot. But that's not even a thing anymore because of streaming. Streaming residuals are like unicorns. We pretend that they exist, but they really don't.
Hey,
Honestly, it's kind of scary how little she actually made. I know I'm repeating myself again, but it terrifies me, man. Eh, because it's like because it's such a it's such a long and arduous process just to be in one of those projects. I can't even imagine what it's like to be in Netflix. But a movie can take like how long does shoot it's like you have to take into consideration like how long it's like the casting, the callbacks if they're not sure if they're to pick you or not, all the times that you basically have to spend waiting while you do other
gigs?
what
Gigs? You mean gigs like jobs?
yeah, other gigs. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Other gigs. Other try to get your feet onto other projects, hoping that you get called back. And while you're doing that, it's like you get called back, you're in the show, and then it's just like a whole process. Because it's like you gotta read the script, you gotta be there like on time, and then you gotta act it out, and then you punch out for the day, and so much stuff can happen that can either things go smoothly or they completely get delayed. Now, I'm not entirely sure of any of the behind the scenes stuff that might have happened during the production of The Orange is the New Black, but it's like even if you work on the crappiest show, it's still not an easy process. And you basically have to be there on the dot and go through all of that no matter which production you're a part of. And you go through that, and then the show airs. It gets or you stream it, and then it's a hit, and you get so little for it. That doesn't seem fair to me.
It's actually kind of shocking to me because when I was directing actors, obviously, I don't have a whole lot of experience in the industry, very, very amateur student projects. But a lot of the actors that I've worked with don't have SAG-AFTRA experience, and they were just basically starting out. Like they had full-time jobs that they had to go to whenever they were going off set. And the thing about it is when you can't pay them, like there's basically nothing to hold against them. And so a lot of times all these actors are working for exposure because that's pretty much the only thing that you have to offer them. But when they're someone of such a high reputation, like these guys are on Netflix shows, they're at that point they're not working for exposure because they'll get it. It's a Netflix show. Like that's pretty much exposure is pretty much the only thing that's like guaranteed. At that point you have to like give these guys a fair wage. Like you got to give themselves something beyond that because obviously You know, it's been said in the industry, and a lot of actors have repeated this: exposure does not pay the bills.
And not anymore, it doesn't.
No, and going back to something you said about the residuals, Gabe. I mean, hell, even an actor from Big Bang Theory just said about the comparisons between the residuals he gets from when it's on network on syndication compared to streaming. It is barely. It's almost nothing. It's like and now these days, like compared to that now, I doubt you can even make a full living working on a streaming show, and you can only get paid that much. Like it's it's almost crazy, and the fact that it's almost stressing that you have to basically work two jobs. I mean, hell, one actor who was supposed to work on a show on Stars, created by Ava DuVernay, but by the time the strike happened, he had to, well, basically get leave and work on basically working as a janitor, working anything just to keep himself fit.
That reminds me of the. It's funny that you bring up syndication, because one of the stuff that's beneficial to streaming is that you don't have to pay for commercials. I mean, depending on the streaming service, aka Hulu, don't watch. You most of the time you don't have to watch any of the commercials because you're basically paying that with your subscription. But I feel like but now we're seeing like the downside to it is that these companies can basically just give whatever under those contracts and just pay whatever percentage of residuals that they think that is appropriate, which I don't agree. It's just unbelievable, man. And the whole thing about working odd jobs, it reminds me of the creator of Squid Games. Like he basically went years without a job. He had this idea of Squid Games, and he was so broke that he was at a point that he would sell his laptop. And from what I hear, he still hasn't gotten paid any royalties for Squid Game, which is still shocking to me. Look, I could go on, but the thing is that TV and streaming are so different. Yeah, you have your TV shows, but it's like when it's not on a network, like let's say NBC or
ABC.
ABC, TNT, or Fox. It's like, look, I don't know all the details, but I'm assuming that the show does get paid through ads. But what happens when you put the show in a service that doesn't have any ads? At least if you're paying for not to get those ads, where does the money go?
Nowhere. That money goes to the pockets of whatever studio executive is making money off of it. Any actor.
And more sorry.
Yeah,
Go on.
no, it's like Disney. Disney, like Diego said, is the biggest media conglomerate in the entire world. It's an empire. They've got movies, they got TV shows, they have their own fucking channels. Sorry, and they have theme parks worldwide, which aren't doing so hot right now. But I'll get to that in a second. And I'm pretty sure that they've got some money stuffed away somewhere for rainy season. I know that Nintendo does.
Here's a funny thing you mentioned Nintendo. One of these studios that's been very, very gung ho about making this entire thing a fucking nightmare for everyone involved was a little company by the name of Universal Studios. I fucking hate Universal, and I have every right to hate them. Not just because of how they tried to screw me over when I tried to do my Dear Evan Hansen video essay, but also because not only are they showing their true colors as a studio, they are really going above and beyond at trying to convince the world that they have zero money to spend. You expect me to believe that the company who just made over $1.3 billion on the Super Mario Brothers movie has no money to pay the writers and actors who make their movies good? Well, adequate, because I don't think Universal has done a single good movie in a long time, not counting the Super Mario Brothers movie. Because let's be honest, they're not making a lot of money out of Pure Evan Hansen, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
let's not. I'm not even going to bring up the money with them. No. Did you guys hear what happened recently? What these assholes did? Let's talk about the trees. Good lord, the trees. So, for those of you who don't know, just yesterday we received news that Universal, right up until the moment when the strike was supposed to start, they ended up cutting a shit ton of trees that were segued in an area where the strike was supposed to be taking place in. Basically removing any amounts of shade for any of the people who were striking on that particular day. So,
Where's the Lorax when you need him?
the Lorax is dead the second they made the movie. They killed the Lorax when they made that movie about him, where they promoted his movie with fucking Honda and Mazda. Yeah, they made car commercials with the fucking Lorax that the car driving on Thneedville. Good fucking god, Universal. But anyway, that's not the best part. No. So, what is the worst part about cutting down trees is the fact that they cut down those trees and they did so illegally. Did you know you're not allowed to cut trees if it's not in season and if you don't have a permit? These assholes ended up cutting down a shit ton of trees, and they did so without any permission from the state, and right now they are liable for doing this, and they can actually be taken to court because of this. Like,
You forgot to mention the part where why this whole cutting the trees business is very important. Does it have something to do with the strike?
I literally mentioned that they did so because they wanted it to be uncomfortable for the people who were striking.
Yep, because it turns out that exact same spots where the trees are, they were using the trees as shade to cover themselves from a blistering sunlight, which may I remind you, the US is actually going through one hell of a heat wave all throughout the states.
Yeah, I mean, I did mention that was the reason why they cut them, but thank you for bringing up the heat wave, because holy shit, the heat is on, and I'm not just talking about global warming. Especially considering they were going around 90 fucking degrees Fahrenheit. This is what they're currently dealing with in Southern California.
Shit's on fire.
Yes. So, apart from basically trying to screw over the people striking, they were in complete violation of the tree ordinance codes that LA has. So, they could quite literally be taken to court because of this.
When the system self-owns itself.
Exactly. It's like, it really is like that meme with DJ Khaled. It's like, way to go. You played yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, people walking at 90 degrees, almost to 100 degrees.
So, I just have one thing to say about that. We do that shit here every single day. I had to do it every day while I was in college. I had to go from building 1 to building 2, from this mountain to that mountain, every single day just to get to class on time. And may I remind you, it was 5 minutes from one class to the fucking other. If I could do all that while wearing jeans and not die of a heat stroke or heat exhaustion, I bet you right now that these actors and actresses and writers can do the same thing for days upon end. So, what you did was mildly inconvenience them at best and remind people how horrible you are at worst. So, good on you for letting people know just how shitty you are as a corporation, Universal. Fuck you.
I guarantee you, it would be the ultimate joke if it turned out that the guy that they paid to cut down those trees was underpaid too.
I would laugh my ass off if that turns out to be the case. It would be hilarious. It's like, wait, where's my money? You were a volunteer person, remember? Oh, right. Wait a minute, no, I wasn't.
It's for exposure.
Exactly. You're paid an exposure. The exposure that you're going to go to jail for cutting down these trees illegally. Good lord.
Also, the fact.
Oh, go ahead.
Also, the fact that Universal saying that, the same Universal who made money with Super Mario Bros. And they spend nearly $300 million on Fast X. $300 million.
And that movie made no money whatsoever. No. That film was a financial bomb, as everybody knows. I mean, how much did this movie make? What? 2 million? 3 million? How much did this movie make? I don't know. Tell me, Wikipedia. How much did this movie make? $724.2 million. No! You guys have money. Fuck you. I don't buy it. And also, may I remind you guys that Universal is currently working on Wicked, both part 1 and part 2, which they decided to stupidly make into 2 movies. How's that working out for you guys?
Hypocrisy.
Not even hypocrisy, but because they stupidly decided to split it into 2 movies, they had who the hell was it? I think it was John Chu. Actually, yeah, it was John M. Chu who recently posted on Twitter. I'm gonna pull it up right here real quick. Let's see here. Let's see. One Piece, creepy picture of Ezra Miller, more stuff on SAG-AFTRA. Let's see. Oh, here it is. To quote John M. Chu on Twitter, "Not done yet." This is in response to the production of Wicked. "We just paused until the strike is over and we can finish the last pieces of the movies, because you're making 2 of them, Johnny. You're making 2. We were only a few days away from being done, so we were so close. It's been very painful to put a halt to it all, but we will be back. And we will finish properly strong when the time is right. My heart goes out to our cast and crew who were cut short of what we came here to complete together. More to come, but in the meantime, I'm excited to excavate what we had shot for the past year here in Oz. Release date shouldn't be affected. It has been an extraordinary adventure. More to do." Funny how
This man.
Hold on, before you say that, funny that he says all of this, yet he makes no mention of the people who are striking or what they're striking for.
This man represented us in Into the Heights.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
That's the most painful part of the whole thing.
I mean, remember, he was just paid to be the director. Anything and everything was done by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who knew the Heights more than anybody. So, this motherfucker did not know what the fuck he was doing, and I don't believe for a second that this guy, he even has a clue as to how tone-deaf that response was.
He's definitely giving off corporate shill vibes here.
You can tell which one's the shill with how they respond, but oh my god, the way that it's just the way that they're saying it's like, "We were working so hard to make this happen," and I responded to it on Twitter the same way that I would respond to it in real life. You see this? This is the world's smallest violin. Because
they're tiny.
You know, even if it's bullshit, that's still kind of true to an extent for all the other productions. Because this strike, it's not just about the writers and the actors. The writers put things on ice, cooled down a little bit, but now with the actors, everything is just not running, stopped, full stop. And nobody's working because you can't have productions without actors. And this has affected everyone in Hollywood, everybody in the film industry. We can't forget about those.
Except for the people working on House of the Dragon. Because, may I remind you, they have actors who are SAG-AFTRA actors, but they're still going to be continuing production there.
Oh, well, in that case, I guess that they're not going to be part of SAG-AFTRA after all is said and done, but I don't know their contracts, so yeah.
Yeah. And most recently, didn't they announce that Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway can continue with their works? Like filming? I mean, I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that, but I do know that they approved 2 A24 productions because A24 is not a member of the AMPTP yet. I think.
Okay. If that's the case, then I guess they could continue working with them.
Allow me to.
If that is the case, but it still kind of looks bad. I mean, depending on where you're looking from, because they're not there supporting the cause.
Allow me to add a little bit to that. Yes, to answer your question, Emmanuel, SAG-AFTRA actually granted permission for at least 39 independent productions to shoot during the strike because those productions were confirmed that they're not tied with what is known as the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. So they are technically not they're not tied in to SAG-AFTRA in a way that would impede the strike. So they gave them permission to continue production. That's why they're allowing it. But those
Okay.
are very, very, very super specific reasons. So very specific. These like they're not doing this for everybody because this was for a very, very particular. This is for a very particular thing. So it's very. I don't know what the word here is because I'm kind of going dead here. But basically, they
Peculiar?
no, not peculiar. It's basically
Specific?
yeah, specific. It was for a very specific reason. So that right there, that's not to say that anybody else who is currently SAG-AFTRA is allowed to continue working on this shit. And I'm just gonna let you guys know right now, there is no boycott on consumer products. No, they're not boycotting shit that you can watch if you're a movie guy. If you want to see things in theaters, you can go watch these movies in theaters if you want. There's no problem with that. There seems to I had to bring this up because a lot of people are like, "Oh, how do I support the strike? Do I have to not go to the movie theaters anymore, or how do I do this?" Oh, first of all, yes, go to the movies. Go watch the movies. The films are not the problem here. The studios are the problem. And I know it sounds weird to say watch the movies even though it'll be giving money to the studio, but the truth of the matter is they're not telling you not to see these movies, them being the actors and writers who are striking. If anything, they want you to see them. There's no problem with that. What they simply want for you to understand is that they're getting screwed over, and they want you to be supporting them. And you have different ways of doing so. For one, spreading awareness is the most important thing that you can do. Spreading awareness, letting people know all the things that are going on, and you can also donate to their cause. There is a donation page where you can end up donating, whether it's just a few pennies or even a few dollars there. All that money that you donate will go to an actor, actress, or writer who is in need so that they can pay rent, so that they can be able to eat. And let me tell you, with how little they get paid already, I think they need our help more than ever, especially if they're going to continue going on the strike. And we need them. We need to be strong for them so that they can continue to be strong themselves.
To add on to what you're saying, I want to talk about the boycott a little bit and specifically people canceling their streaming subscriptions. Obviously, it's already been made clear. Do not do that. It's not necessary. These people actually want you to support their films. More importantly, if and when a consumer boycott is called, this is a move that needs to maximize impact. Like, this needs to just be completely devastating for the studios that are being struck. There needs to be a sheer and sudden drop in user account activity and payments. So in order for that to just have the maximum impact it can have, we all need to cancel our subscriptions all at once. So we need to just hold off on that for the time being and just wait until the order is given. Until then, feel free to enjoy all your favorite movies and shows, watch your streaming services, watch your TV shows. Go ahead, it's totally fine. Just when a consumer boycott is called, just be there and be ready to cancel.
Exactly. And
We must hold the line. Sorry.
No. You were saying that we were holding the line, and
We must hold the line.
right that. So, this actually kind of reminds me of something that I wanted to bring up for a really long time. Why, or rather, since when have we as consumers started putting fate into the producers instead of the filmmakers? Like, why are there so many people who are so against the strike and putting their fate into the people with the money instead of the people with the talent, the people with the expertise, the people who write, the people who act, the people who direct? Well, how fucked as a society have we become when we are supporting the people with the money? That's all the producer is. That's all their job is to be the asshole with money who says, I want this or I want that. They're not the directors, they're not the writers, they're not the actors, but they still somehow have more power because Even though the captain controls the ship, the producer owns the ship, as they say. So why the fuck are we siding with the fucking rich assholes instead of the people who make the movies what they are?
I'm
How
kind of
did we
curious. Where is this coming from?
It's been coming from it's been something that I have bottled up since the whole year started. It's been bothering me that all these movies are failing financially, and everybody is like, but why are they failing so hard? Because these films are being given ridiculous budgets for no fucking reason, and we're letting our wallets make the determination for whether these movies make money or not. And people are wondering, well, it's okay because money is what makes these movies good. No, it's not the money that makes the movies good. It's the fucking filmmakers, the actors, the writers. You guys are gonna be making all these memes about how Barbie and Oppenheimer are gonna be going against each other, but you're not gonna pay money to see them. Probably, you're loving the memes, but you're probably not gonna see it, which is the sad reality of it. Is you're probably gonna watch Barbie just for the memes and the lols and the Twitter shit, but you're probably not going to actually see it, and that's a real problem. And yet,
Honestly, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
and the thing that pisses me off is you're out there saying that, oh, these movies aren't making money because conspiracy theory, woke shit, and all of this nonsense, when the reality is you guys are not supporting them enough because it's not that we're not supporting them enough. That's not what I meant to say. We're not supporting them enough. It's just that they are giving way too much for these movies that don't really need it. Like, they're telling me they don't have money for the writers and the actors. You clearly have enough if you're gonna give fucking Flash $300 million almost to promote it and to make it and all the other bullshit that you had, but you're not gonna pay an extra actor or a writer, or hell, maybe get somebody to replace the literal criminal you have on your movie, or you're not gonna pay any of the writers who are currently striking as of this fucking moment. You don't have money to pay them, but you have money to blow on big budgets for movies that don't end up making that much money. And we are continuing to be okay with this practice. We're continuing to enable this as consumers. We are continuing to say, no, 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 please continue wasting money on all of these shitty movies that we don't want to see. We're going to continue praising you even though you're making content that we don't care about. And we're not going to support the actors. We're not going to support the writers. We want to keep supporting the studios who will one day make Flash go up against Superman in a race, or have the Avengers meeting up against the X-Men in the future. Maybe we can have X-Men versus the Avengers. Like, why are we being so much, why are we putting so much faith in the producers, in the people with the money, and not in the people who make the movies what they fucking are? When did we devolve that much?
I don't know. Even Kevin Feige, he's a producer, but he's a smart one to know to work with the right people for this.
Honestly, look, I'm gonna take the floor here. And no offense to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's really good, but in my personal opinion, I don't look. We can blame it. We can blame part of it in Kevin Feige, part of it in Bob Chapek, but the MCU is kind of not in a good place right now. Like, and Quantum Mania is one of the movies this year that has come out that have been very disappointing in the box office. And the thing that we're not touching upon is the fact that we're just coming out of right now. We're in the post COVID period right now. And the thing is that during COVID, a lot of money was made, a lot of money was moved around, but keep in mind that a lot of money was also lent. We borrowed money that was given to us by the government. Now, we don't have to pay the money back necessarily, but that's going to cause some problems. And right now, since the start of the year, prices have gone up exponentially. Like, I've seen price increases in just about in food here in Puerto Rico alone, and in other expenses too. In other countries, in Europe, they had to raise the retail price of the PlayStation 5 to almost $600. While here in Puerto Rico and North America, we're still keeping the same retail price of $499, but that's only a matter of time before that prices goes up. The other issue is that uh, tech some tech products are still maintaining their prices despite the fact that it's already been more than 2 years since they released. At this point, the prices should already be going down, not retain. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of things have gotten expensive in a very short amount of time. And the thing is that we have, and because of COVID, so many of these high budget films, Transformers, Transformers, Indiana Jones, all of these films have one thing in common. They have high budgets and they were delayed because of COVID. They could not be released during the time that they were intended to, so they all got pushed back. And we got so many of them in June alone. We got Spider-Verse first, which is still top dog. Then we got Transformers Rise of the Beast, followed by Indiana Jones. I'm pretty sure there were other movies around, but these movies have like $100 to $300 million budgets, and of course there's a Flash. Also, on the topic of Flash, and this applies to just about every Hollywood film, you need to spend twice as much money to actually promote your films. A movie like Transformers, which has a $200 million, or what's the budget for Transformers again?
I think it was 220 million.
Okay, Rise of the Beast. Just give me a second.
Oh, and to answer your question, Kate, yes, we actually just talked about this. They are not encouraging any boycott in the entertainment industry as of right now. We are waiting until something is being told, but so far, nothing has been told as of yet.
All right,
Okay,
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alright,
got
I
it.
found
It's $200 million. They have to spend, for a $200 million movie, you have to spend at least almost twice as much, from $100 to $50 million.
And right
Is
now,
that-
Break them- they have to make a $200 million movie to actually make back all that money, has to make at least twice as much in the box office worldwide, at least, to break even. I'm not entirely sure where Transformers is right now, but it didn't have a great start. And right now, these days, China isn't bringing in all that many Hollywood films into their country, which lowers the probability of making back their money and then some.
I can tell
Honestly,
you right now,
a lot of
not to cut you
it's
off.
like putting all these films. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that as of right now, Transformers is currently under making in the box office in America with a total of
Underperforming.
underperforming with $153 million so far.
The problem here, it's not the fact, it's not just look, the problem is that they have big budgets. But the other problem, and they have nobody to blame but themselves, is that somebody thought it was a good idea to actually have all of these movies competing with each other, not just in the same week, but in the same fucking month as every other film. It's like putting a bunch of boxers in a ring, or grabbing the world's giant piece of meat and putting a million piranhas in a fish tank, and then you get to see which piranha gets the biggest bite or bites. Not every piranha is gonna get the bite. There's only so much you can do with the giant piece of meat. There's only so much meat to go around, and that's what's happening with these films right now. I mean, yeah, it seems like they're doing more money worldwide, but, just because they make back their budget doesn't mean that they're making back their money. Because right now, I'm just finding out that theaters actually take a percentage of that. A cut of it, let's say 10 to 20%. So going back to The Flash, there's a reason why it's the biggest box office flop, one of the box office flops of the year, because it didn't make its money back. It did poorly domestically, it did poorly worldwide, and all of that money has to be spread around in all of the theaters that it actually put, and it actually costs you money. It actually costs them money They were losing money every time every day that Flash was in a movie theater. That's why they took it out. Now, I'm not sure about all the other films. They seem to be holding strong so far for whatever reason. But not every film is lucky.
Well,
Ruby Gillman is probably the worst. The worst victim of this. It had poor marketing. Nobody knew that it existed, and it's competing with Pixar's worst opening film of all time. And
So far,
honestly,
from what I'm seeing here, not to cut you off there, but yeah, with how this movie was promoted, it really feels like they were releasing this movie with the intent of it failing financially. They knew that this movie was gonna fail because nothing in the marketing, nothing in any of this made it look like they actually cared about this movie. They didn't care about Ruby Gillman. I tried to make an entire video talking about this. I tried to record it and everything, but when I really look back at it, am I really going to be doing this to talk about Ruby Gillman, or am I just going to be causing more of a mess for this movie than the studio has already caused? Because let's be honest, no matter what I say, the movie's already failing financially, and it's just going to continue.
and this isn't even the worst part. Like the summer box office exposes a real problem, and that's not only just the budget but the marketing budget. The marketing budget, like the movie, but here's the thing, and this has to do with the SAG after strike. Part of the contracts, when an actor makes a contract with a studio for a movie project, it doesn't just include them being in the movie. That also includes promoting the movie, going on interviews, tours, worldwide even, to be in the premieres, to promote your film. They put you front and center to talk to people, to interact with people. At the end of the day, it's a job. They're not being there for being goodwill. No offense to those. They're there because they're being paid to be there. And we just saw like the cast of Oppenheimer walk out from the UK premiere once the SAG-AFTRA strike started rolling in. But keep in mind, this is the thing. We're in July. We're in the 7th month of the 12-month year. And we still have the rest of the year to go. We're only in the summer. We still have the fall and the winter season, and there's so many movies that are down in the line, and because of the strike, none of these actors can promote it. Like, I mean, yeah, you have your marketing team and you can throw like a commercial or a trailer here or two, but at the end of the day, you can't have any of the actors talk about the film because they're on strike. And it's like San Diego Comic-Con is supposed to be starting soon, and whatever panels that these studios had talking about the upcoming projects, if they plan on having their actors there, they sure as hell they're not going to have them, and that's money, and that's not only money lost, but time. That's not it's time and money lost for all parties involved. Not entirely sure if San Diego Comic Con loses any money on this. That's not important. But at the end
Oh, they
of the
for
day,
sure will.
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for confirming. But yeah, there's a lot of money going around that's gonna be lost. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Disney will bounce back from Elemental and Indiana Jones. They always seem to do somehow. But honestly, it's such a peculiar and interesting time, and not in the best way for Hollywood. This is one hell of a turning point. Like, nothing is being worked on. Productions have gone full stop. The actors and writers are going on strike. I'm just finding out that these studios have basically tried to AI scan their actors so they can use them in perpetuity. That shit terrifies me. And here's the thing, as long as this strike continues, they're going to keep losing money because they're not making any money. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they have a couple of projects in the back burners currently in post production. But even that's not guaranteed. At some point, they're going to run out of projects to push out, to sell. And speaking of post production and the filmmakers, there was a point in time last year, I think it was November, in which there was the union regarding the behind the scenes people, the post production, the gaffers, the lighting people and whatnot were planning
Do
to
you mean
go on
Yahtzee?
strike. They were about to go on strike. Eventually, they didn't go on strike, but they always could go on strike because the writers and the actors are not the only ones suffering. The post production people are suffering too. We talked about this with the whole VFX team. It was a big thing. The whole VFX team working on these Marvel films. Honestly, I could go on, but it's just, I think, like Seb said, it's one hell of a domino effect, and we still have yet to see the full repercussions. We're only just starting, people. We're only just starting. We haven't even, it started in June. We haven't even finished July. Wait till we get to August and beyond. Because that's when we're really going to see the effects that this strike is going to have on Hollywood.
And I wanted to, sorry to cut you up there, but I wanted to add something there.
No, it's okay. I'm done.
Yeah, when you said about that they pushed released all these movies in June, and it's basically a slaughter fest. It was not a good idea. The perfect example is Indiana Jones. That cost them like $295 million, nearly $300 million, and they decided to release it at a when there was so much competition.
Look, man, going back a little bit on that, and I have to be honest, I don't mind watching Transformers. I loved it. I don't mind watching Spider-Verse twice. I loved it too. I didn't mind seeing Indiana Jones, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that's the problem with having so many of these big films coming out in the same month. People's wallets are not endless. With all the prices going up, it's much cheaper to actually pay $20 for a Disney Plus subscription than going out with your entire family to one single movie. Tickets here in Puerto Rico cost $7 to $8 per person. If you're an adult, if you're a kid, then it's about $5, and that's not even getting into the snacks, which can cost you from $5 to $9 depending on what you buy. The price, the costs add up, and when you got Transformers and another big film coming out in the same week, I do want to watch them, but I'm lucky enough to be able to afford them. Not everybody else is. They're gonna have to cut down on the prices somewhere. At the end of the day, out of all the movies that come out in a month, you're probably gonna have to choose one.
I'd love to be able to see into this across the Spider-Verse multiple times, but you guys know that I've been unable to do so for reasons that I can't get into here. Shit has been difficult for me and for everyone, and these assholes expect us to shell out hundreds of dollars on a monthly basis just to watch these movies, which most of the time the films themselves aren't even really worth watching because holy shit, we are spending money on films that they are shitting out into theaters with no care and no thought process putting into them. And leaving that for a second, you're asking us to spend so much money on movies that we have to choose whether we want to watch this movie or that movie. And by the time we go watch the other one, we won't have enough money to see it. So you're kind of leaving us with no options here. You want us to watch your movies, but you're not giving us enough time to get the disposable income necessary to actually see them. Not a lot of us can afford this shit. I have to pay for an apartment and maintenance and power and water. I have shit to do, and I don't have the time to spend around wasting it on luxuries that I would love to spend it on. I wish that were the case, but that's not the way that it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, they should basically they should just look at the Blumhouse model or just reduce the budgets. Keep budgets down.
That's why I brought up that thing in the beginning. a few minutes ago. That's why I went on that little tirade there. It's because I am so sick of all of these movies having such misuse of their money. I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of all of these movies spending so much money on movies, yet not having a single iota of a care where that money's going or how we can be able to help patronize it ourselves.
And at the end of the day, this is affecting a lot. I mean, not just actors, but the crew too. I mean, Gladiator 2, when
The people that provide services for driving, clothing, the costume department, and that's not even getting into the local businesses that actually depend on these productions. Catering is an important part of a production too. It's going to
yeah,
affect a lot of industries.
like it, like in Malta when they were filming Gladiator 2, there was basically a bubble when they were Ridley Scott was orchestrating a sequence for Gladiator 2 until news came about the strike, and thus it affected not just actors but a lot of production, the international crews there. That's gonna affect their livelihoods.
I
That
really,
set had 400 people on it, and they all basically had to book flights home.
that absolutely sucks.
And that is all a fault of the assholes in charge. None of the actors or writers wanted this, but they had no choice. If it was up to me and I was in that position as well, I would have done the exact same thing because, it sucks that a lot of people are going to get screwed over, but if I'm going to sit there and work, I expect to be paid properly. I expect to be treated properly as a human being. I don't think some asshole on Twitter tried to bring this up. It's like, why are we paying money for all these people to make shitty content? Guess what, asshole? If you're working, no matter what you're doing, you deserve to be paid regardless of how shitty that thing is. I don't think anyone in their right mind should ever be told your content is bad, therefore you don't get paid for this. You don't get food because of this. Well, I'm sorry I didn't do it the way that you wanted, or I'm sorry it didn't turn out the way that you intended it to, but I still did my fucking job. If you don't like it, that's okay. It's yours now. It's yours. You can do with it whatever you want, but I still expect to be paid because I did my job.
Mhm.
And they're not even doing that. They're not paying these people properly. They're not giving them their dues. So anybody who tries to tell me, but what about the other extras and the actors and all the other poor people who worked on this? They didn't ask for this. Yeah, they didn't. And you know what? Neither are the people striking. They didn't ask for it either. They did it because they had no choice. They did it because it was either this or continue to get screwed over by the people who don't even bother to pay you properly.
Exactly. And to double down on that, and you've probably gone into this, but once again, I'm going to emphasize it. If this strike didn't happen, or if or if they just give up too early, there's not going to be much of a job for them to come back to. They're going to get like once they see how much money these actors have paid by the time they've given up, they're going to give them as shitty of a deal as possible. If they have to pay them like 1 cent per day, then they'll pay them 1 cent per day. That is what we're talking about here in terms of like what the stakes are with the strike.
It's gonna this strike is very important because it's like it doesn't just expose what's been happening, because it's like it's already happening now. This will set the precedent for years to come in the industry of Hollywood. It's really a fight that none of them can lose.
I'm not
And
here.
not just in Hollywood either. Sorry to cut you off, but next at I think at the end of this month or at the start of next month, you have the UPS strike that is just on the horizon. They're talking about it. Negotiations are going back and forth. It's not looking good because people still need to get paid fair wages and live and work in safer environments and all that stuff. But yeah, you guys were saying.
No, I was just gonna say that as long as this continues to happen, I'm not gonna sit here and let some rich asshole in. I'm not gonna sit here and let some rich asshole in Hollywood get rich while other people like us get screwed over and continue to get screwed over because they refuse to pay them properly. So if anybody gets upset at me because I dare say something bad about David Zaslav or anything about any of the other people, any of the other big ones like Bob Iger or whoever the fuck is the CEO of Netflix, I completely forgot because that's how unimportant that person is. Like, if they get mad at me for criticizing or for poo-pooing on their stuff or saying negative shit about these movies, do you think I care? Do you think I give a shit? No. Do you think it bothers me that you're calling me stuff for spoiling movies like these with terrible fucking criminals in them? Yes, I'm talking about The Flash. No. You know why? Because it is not my responsibility that this movie is going to fail financially because the stupid CEO decided to not hire an actual good actor and keep the criminal that they had since the beginning just because they said sorry and they thought it was enough. No. If people don't like it and they get upset, then that's their problem. I'm not going to sit here and accommodate you because you don't like that the things that you like are probably not going to be happening because people who make them are suffering trying to get their wages right. I don't give a shit. And I'm not going to continue to give a shit. And I'm going to continue not giving a shit. I can't even speak properly anymore. That's how pissed off I am. But no, I'm sorry if it upsets you, but I don't care. So you can forgive me, but I refuse to let anybody out there tell me that you shouldn't be saying these things or you shouldn't be talking like this because there's other people working for this. Yeah, and you know what? They're going to get screwed over regardless, even if they didn't go on strike. Their job, the reason they're going on strike, is to make sure that people like them do not get screwed over either. In a perfect world, nobody would be getting screwed over. And the fact that they're striking at all, it goes to show just how much they've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anybody else have anything they want to add to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to leave this. I assume we're nearing the end of this episode, but just a couple things that I want to add in here. A few websites where you can help the strike. You can actually help support the strike with just a small donation. It could be $5, it could be $1, it could be 50 cents. I don't know if 50 cents is possible, to be honest with you. I'm probably talking out of my butt. But www.wgfoundation.org/donate. That is for the WGA strike, and entertainmentcommunity.org. That's going to present you a link once you get on that website so that you can actually donate to the strike and help support these actors. Additionally, you don't even have to spend any money. You can spread the word on social media using the hashtags WGA on strike and Union Strong and SAG-AFTRA on strike to spread awareness, get the word out on, just even express your opinion on what you think about all this. Be as loud as possible and tell your friends and family. We need to spread awareness. We need to make sure everybody knows this is happening. We cannot let this strike fall out of the mainstream. We need to keep people aware of exactly what's going on so that it can have the impact that it's been having. We are doing great so far, guys. We just need to keep it. We just need to keep it going until a good deal is reached, one that is good enough that satisfies everyone.
We'll be providing links to it in the description, and we're going to put it on the chat as well. You can donate and help these people out and help them stay striking, helping them stay on the good fight, because let's be honest, if Hollywood isn't going to be there for them, then we, the consumers, are going to have to do so.
Fight the power.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Row.
with this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for joining us on this very happy episode of News from the Wasteland. I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews. If you guys like what you see here and you would like to see us do more, be sure to check out our Patreon page for bonus content and exclusive rewards. And as always, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews signing out, and I'll see you on the Wasteland. You know how it goes.